Welcome to Sebring International Raceway, where you must always, first and foremost, respect the bumps. The Fanatec GT World Challenge America, powered by AWS season, is down to its final 2 events, and this weekend's pair of 90-minute races are the last of their kind this year, with the Indianapolis 8-hour looming in 2 weeks' time. Hello everyone, my name is Ryan Marine. Amanda Busick is down in the pit lane. Calvin Fish is alongside. It is time to go qualifying here at Sebring, and we talked, Cal, about this being the final 2 90-minute races of the season. That means these are also the final 2 single-driver qualifying sessions of the season, and it comes at a point in the championship where the pressure is mounting to an all-time high.
It really is. We've got some wonderful championship scenarios that are developing here with 100 points left on the table, essentially 2 25-point races this weekend, a double point 8-hour race, obviously, at Indy. So lots to play for, and really pivotal for this team. I mean, they had a problem yesterday with the gearbox, lost free practice too, so they're on the back foot a little bit. So these are our championship leaders, Stephen McAleer, Eric Filgueras, put together a really solid year, but it's not been an easy go for this team. They really struggle to get the speed out of this Porsche at certain circuits, but they keep grinding, they keep getting the job done, and right now they still have a nice championship lead heading into this weekend.
3 wins for that team in the first 6 races, but they have not won since the first race at COTA. Let's hear from the team now with Amanda.
Well, as you guys were just talking about the points leader in that pro category, the 28 RS1 Porsche, well, it's been a struggle of a weekend here kicking off in Sebring. A broken transmission has limited their time on track, and a little under the weather for Stephen McAleer as well, so just battles all around. But, man, look at what you guys have accomplished here all season. Why should we see the same this weekend?
Yeah, I'm not feeling too great, as I mentioned earlier, and we broke a transmission in end of practice 1, so we lost practice 2. But, RS1's put out a car back together. We ran it this morning for a lap, and it seems to be holding up. And, yeah, we're just going to do our best. We're a little behind the 8 ball. The BOP were a little behind as well with some of the other manufacturers. But we got the car fairly good yesterday at the end of practice, and, Eric's about to go qualify. We'll know shortly what we have for the race.
On the hardship lap, was there anything from the Porsche that gives a glimmer of hope here for qualifying?
No, I said to Eric, it was worth 30 horsepower, right? And we laughed. He said, so no, the car was fine. So we'll be good. I think the track will be fast this morning with the cold air. So qualifying, again, is important for us. We've struggled in qualifying, certainly in my class, and qualifying too. So we'll put a big lap in here, hopefully, and get us somewhere close to the front.
Thank you, Stephen. And yeah, I've been talking to some of the drivers here on just kind of the performance that we're seeing. If you look at practice times, a lot of the manufacturers are super matched on the lap time. So fun expectation during race time. But talking to Eric Filgueras, he was just saying that he feels that the Porsche struggles with the straight line speed that some of the other manufacturers really excel at.
Well, you heard from Stephen McAleer there. Eric Filgueras is the one they're going to count on to perform in the qualifying session. He had poles in each of his first 3 GT3 qualifying sessions, but they've not been on pole since that last time they went to Victory Lane, race 1 at COTA back in May. They do have a 19-point lead, but Calvin, it was much more comfortable just a few months ago.
Yeah, and Stephen alluded to the fact they struggle for straight line speed with that new iteration of that Porsche, so it's got more downforce in the car. Typically, that's a trade-off with the straightaway speed and the aero efficiency, but a lot of long straightaways here, so they need to get that track position really is the key to getting good championship points.
And we talk about the straightaways. Let's take a look at the track map here at Sebring, an iconic venue, so much history dating back to the 1950s, just under 3 3/4 miles in length. And there you see the 17-turn circuit, turns 1 and 17, probably the most difficult?
Oh, not only here, but I think in the world of motorsports. I mean, so difficult. Turn 1, high speed, you're coming down there, approaching about 150 miles an hour right as you get to that middle pedal and slow the car down. But it's the inside. You can't see through the corner. It's like being on a high-speed street circuit because, you can't see the apex, you can't see the exit, and it's a rough ride if you get wide there. Turn 17, Sunset Bend, if you're racing late in the day, that's a consideration, certainly in terms of seeing your marks, but so bumpy through turn 17. The cars really rock and roll through there, so it's quite a ride. It's a fun track. It's so unique. Respect the bumps, and here we see some of the cars in practice here yesterday. This was Auburn, and I think this was actually on his fast lap, which was quickest in FP2 yesterday aboard the Bimmerworld car, but look at that, just trying to maintain that contact patch between the Pirelli P0 and the road is always a challenge there for the engineers.
It is a wild ride around Sebring International Raceway, and that should be fun as we look ahead to qualifying here shortly. One driver who's going in qualifying 2 is Ryan Dial.
And we've seen some impressive lap times for that 2:96 here this weekend at Sebring. And Ryan, it seems like everything's really hitting for this team right here at this moment in the season. In terms of finding your footing here in Sebring and the Ferrari, what's hitting right?
I think, obviously the car was competitive in Road America. We saw Conquest get the first win for the 296, which was great to see, and also kind of gut-wrenching at the same time for us not to be there. But we unloaded good here. We tested the car here at the start of the year. I think it definitely suits this package with the Ferrari, and even the previous generation 488 was a good car around Sebring. So it's all about who can ride the bumps the best here, and it seems that we've got the Triarsi Ferrari dialed in. So hoping for good things.
Ryan Dial, P4 in practice 1. He was P2 in practice 2, one of the 6 drivers to go under the SRO track record here at Sebring in those practices, which of course is unofficial, but perhaps could be broken here in this qualifying session. As we take a look at this car, new livery for the Triarsi boys here this weekend. Great to have them back, and certainly a team that you're going to have to contend with. They're a local team, and Ryan Dial knows this place very well.
He does. His wife Jessica's family actually originate from Sebring, so pretty cool to have a lot of family here watching him this weekend. But as he said, this Ferrari is dialed in. I think Ryan's really got high hopes for when he jumps aboard this car in the second of the 2 qualifying sessions here this morning to maybe have that car on the front row somewhere. But you see the team's really going to work there. It's not a panic. It's not that they're late. They just want to get those tires out of the ovens and out of the tire blankets as late as possible right before the green flag here.
Slight delay in getting the qualifying session started. That's stemming from an incident in TC America powered by Skip Barber qualifying, the session that immediately preceded this one. That has been attended to, and the green flag is displayed by Tom Hansing here at the front straightaway at Sebring International Raceway. And that sprint to get out onto the racetrack first is won by Chandler Hull, the Bimmer World team, able to sneak out ahead of the Racer's Edge squad that's based not too far from here in Florida, and they sat on class pole back at the 12-hour back in the spring.
Yeah, they have a good setup for this racetrack. Had a win last year in the Pro-Am class. Mario Fallenbacher and Ashton Harrison, who's on board right now. But you can see these first 3 cars, George Kurtz behind the wheel of the CrowdStrike Racing entry, all keen to get that clean air on the nose and lay down some fast laps here. Relatively cool. It's been a breath of fresh air, really, to come here compared to last year, Ron. We don't have the humidity that we dealt with last year. It's about 75 degrees ambient temp right now, so perfect track conditions. Should be fast here this morning. Maybe a track record will be established here.
Third car in line is George Kurtz, and if you were with us for our coverage at Road America the last time out, you'll remember, no doubt, the heavy impact that George Kurtz had while leading overall in the second race of the weekend. Great to see George bouncing back. He's been a busy boy racing in other categories since then as well, but the car repaired, as you'd expect from that Riley team, and he's back out on track here looking to continue that championship bid that he and Colin Brown are putting together.
Yeah, that was huge in the championship. They still lead by 17 points, but they essentially, if he had gone on to win that race, lost 23 points that day, so it would have been a 40-point margin, which would have been considerable with only 100 points on the board here till the end of the season. So they've got to regroup, dust themselves off, and just say that's racing and move forward.
Here's a look at the Bimmer World car. Bill Oberlin, Chandler Hull, they've been super consistent all year. Just the one win, though, to show for it. That said, this could be a pretty good track for this BMW platform.
Case of what could have been, because they had that big incident with Manny Franco, Chandler and Hull getting together with Manny Coda earlier this season, and then had a really strong car at Road America and had an issue. I think it was a driveline break at Road America in race 2 when they were in prime position to score big points. So with those 2 results, everyone has their story, right, on the season of, races and points that got lost. But certainly for this team, they feel they could have been leading this championship or very close to the lead coming in at this race weekend.
Chandler already a champion in 2023, won the Asian Le Mans Championship back over the winter. He's been a busy guy racing all over the world over the last several years and enters this weekend in this championship, placed 3rd in the pro category on the strength of all those podiums in the single win in race 2 at NOLA Motorsports Park back in April.
pulling double duty here this weekend as well, also running in Pirelli GT4 Championship. So lots of track time. That's not going to be a problem in terms of finding the rhythm of this circuit. And what a circuit is, so unique. We talk about respect the bumps, and you know, there's been talk of should we repave this place? No way, just leave it as it is. Let the teams deal with it. And certainly the latest iterations of these GT3 cars are absorbing these bumps, and the suspension technology and the shock absorber technology has moved on considerably from when I raced here. So it certainly settles down the car a lot more. But this is Tower Corner, really tricky corner here, turn 13. Important one to launch off here and get that run through Bishop Bend.
Back to the power and into this rhythm section here. Great flow to this racetrack. When you talk about the classic tracks of the world, so many of them have elevation change as part of their features. Not so much here unless you count all the bumps around Sebring. And yet there is so much character baked into this place, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that a good section of it, the paving, is still there from when this was Hendricks Army Airfield, a World War II bomber training base.
Yeah, and yeah, you talk about elevation change. I think if you look at shock travel around the lab, this maybe exceeds everything that we run on. But as you can see there, it's bumpy through Sunset Bend. Right in the middle as you come under the bridge, the key is getting the car placed consistently in the right spot so you can commit to the corner. Now starting to see some times come on board here.
Chandler Hull, first one through, sets the benchmark time at a 2:01.181. Ashton Harrison checking in with the second quickest time. Then it's Adam Adelson, George Kurtz, the first four to set times. Others a little bit slower to get out and turn laps. Just 14 cars here this weekend. We expect that to grow substantially looking ahead to the season finale, the Indianapolis 8-hour, which is part of Intercontinental GT Challenge. Should have quite a few globetrotting teams joining the fray. But here this weekend shouldn't be any trouble finding clean track space to put in a fast lap.
Addison Snow's got a good one going here as he enters the Elmond straightaway, so just one corner to go. What a season he's had here in North America. Clinched the championship at Indianapolis last weekend, along with his teammate Brian Sellers, who'll be also competing here against Madison this weekend. Different teams, of course. So Madison's been drafted into this 45 Wright Motorsports Porsche. Charlie Luck has got some health issues he's trying to deal with, so Madison's now on board with Jan Halen.
Mentioned that championship he won in IMSA. That was done in a BMW. This, of course, in a rear-engine Porsche. Very different. And Madison has talked about the difficulties in jumping back and forth between the two platforms, making it look easy right now as he goes to P1, the first driver to go under the 2:01 threshold here, still in the very early stages of this 15-minute qualifying session.
Yeah, and don't be surprised to see some 159s here. We saw that yesterday morning by a bundle of the teams. Only Bill Aublin was able to get to that number in the heat of the afternoon in free practice too, but I think that track record was like mid-59. Ryan is certainly under threat here today.
No question. The SRO track record is over the 2-minute mark, so that should very much be under threat given the pretty favorable ambient temperatures here this morning for qualifying. Looks like Chandler Hull's on a nice flyer at the moment, trending quicker than Madison Snow, and indeed supplants the Utah native at the top of the leaderboard. 2 minutes, .423 now the benchmark time. Hull, Snow, Harrison, Filgaris, Kurtz now the top 5.
Yeah, and I think with that BMW, we recognize it's got pretty strong top speed. So if they're there in terms of track position, overall lap time, that really sets up nicely for both Chandler Hull and Bill Aublin to have a good result here this weekend, because when you get in the race and they got the advantage down these long straightaways, tough to race against them.
Oh, look at this lap that Madison Snow's putting together. Purple in each of the first 2 sectors. That indicates he has set the best time of anyone through both sectors 1 and 2. Now making that run onto the Olbin Straight. So much lap time out of that corner, getting a good run down this long straightaway into the challenge that is turn 17, Sunset Bend at Sebring International Raceway.
Just over 160 miles an hour. He's now going to kind of diamond it in here. Just kind of graze that right side wall there, then pick your mark. There's a blue dot up on that bridge. You're trying to position the car right underneath it.
This could be the first sub-2-minute lap time here at Sebring in SRO trim. Across the line, Madison Snow just denied of that mark, but does jump to provisional pole. 2.042 his lap time.
Really solid lap, and this is a very different beast to try and manhandle around this racetrack compared to the BMW that he campaigns in the other championship. But here's Adam Adelson trying to put together a clean lap. Right now he sits 7th on the time chart, so for our championship contending team, they sit 2nd in the points behind Kurtz and Colin Brown, 17 points back. They need a strong bounce back weekend after Road America.
Crash in race 1 made them switch chassis for race 2. They're back to their original chassis, a 991.2, so the previous generation Porsche 911. They had to run the newer car, which they usually just use in GT America in race 2 at Road America. Managed a 7th place there, but that cost them dearly in terms of the championship. Here comes George Kurtz. What can he do? He's down in 9th. Does set a personal best, but does not improve on the leaderboard. Adelson jumps 1 spot. He's in 7th. And Madison Snow is on the charge again. He just set another purple first sector.
Yeah, it seems like they really got that right motorsport Porsche dialed in here this weekend. We've got Samantha Tan coming off a brilliant victory for she and Neil Verhagen at Road America, so they're hitting their stride as well. Verhagen's really been sensational jumping on board this car this year.
Since he joined their lineup, their worst finish is 2nd. They have finished 2nd, 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 and 1st in those 4 races. And Sam Tan at the moment is on provisional class pole in the Pro-Am ranks, 5th at the moment, and looking to improve. Doesn't look like this is going to be a lap that will see her make any more headway, but a nice buffer back to Adelson. The gap between 5th and 8th is substantial, and that's the difference between 1st and 2nd in Pro-Am.
Leading off speed here. Down 165 miles an hour, all the way down to about 90 miles an hour minimum speed through Sunset.
Back on the power, down the front straightaway. Sam Tan makes the run into turn 1. This is what you call basically a high-speed street course corner.
It really is. You just can't see through the corner. You can't see the apex till you're right there. You don't see the exit till after the apex. You just got to trust that you got the car underneath you and got balance to really commit to the power. As you see Manny Franco bouncing through turn 17.
What an astounding debut in GT3 Manny Franco made right here 1 year ago. Started on the front row, ran up front, had a chance to challenge for a race win on debut. That was in the old 488 platform, now in the new Ferrari 296, and Manny Franco currently 6th fastest overall, 5th in class. One quick update, Madison Snow did improve his lap time. He did go sub 2 minutes, so that would be a new SRO track record, and it is not far off of the overall GT3 track record here at Sebring.
That's a really solid lap by Madison, so seems like the Wright Motorsports team has finally unwrapped some speed out of this race car. You know that Jan Halen's going to be up on the wheel when he gets to the pro qualifying session here in a little bit as well. So it's only qualifying, but that really sets up the whole weekend. Track position is so key with the competitiveness of this championship.
1:59.719 was that lap time. Madison backing out of it here on this lap, cooling things down. We'll see if he goes for another push lap or if he will be contented with that run to provisional pole with a nearly 6/10 of a second gap back to B2.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of experience in that group. John Wright and the whole engineering squad, they may want to try and save a little bit of life in these tires and feel they've got enough of a margin that no one's going to threaten Madison. I think he bails on it. He's going to bring it to pit lane, so his session should be done here.
This could be someone to watch. Filgueira's personal best in both of the first 2 sectors. This is a team that needs to bounce back. Filgueira's does have a lot of laps here at Sebring, but he told me never before in a GT3 car until earlier this weekend. So he felt like losing all of that running time due to their transmission issue yesterday was costly, but he's a quick study and he jumps up to P3.
Yeah, up to 3rd, and I think he's got enough time on the board and maybe speed potential to leap himself onto the front row. So Magdalene talked about having a good quali run here with Eric Filgueira, his teammate. And as you mentioned earlier, Ryan, he's had a really solid qualifying performance this year. And he's got some time, and he'll know what the margin is to Chandler Hull and what he needs to try and find. The drivers have a predictive lap time they're looking at on their steering wheel, so they know when to push, when to save tires. Traffic up ahead. This is key here, that he can clear Samantha Tan without being balked a little bit.
And the gap is about a 1/4 of a second from Filgueira to Hull. This lap will not be the lap for Eric. He does make that pass, and now should have some clear track to work with as he sets off in pursuit. Should have one more flying lap here if he chooses to take it. But you brought up that tire strategy element, and some of these tires will be implemented in the race as well. So the amount of laps you put on them here in qualifying can affect how you run your race strategy.
Absolutely. You're going to pay the price tomorrow when these play a part in the race allocation. So the more, I relate it to like chewing gum. You know what I mean? If you keep chomping on it, it loses its sweetness a little bit. So if you're easy on it, maybe they'll last a little bit longer. Does that make sense?
It does.
All right.
Never heard it described that way before, but I might just steal that. Imitation, after all, is the highest form of flattery. Take a look to see who might be on the move. This was the car I was going to highlight. George Kurtz, currently 9th, but did turn in a personal best first sector. I say 9th, that's 9th overall. 3rd, though, in Pro-Am. And you can see tracking about a half a second off the overall pace setter, Madison Snow. But that could be, yeah, good enough to challenge for a better position within class. Certainly he's not alone in that. Everyone chasing what Madison Snow was able to put on the board earlier in this session.
And George is one of those drivers where he'll just use that session, and he typically executes and perfects his lap and puts it together late in the session. So the tire performance is maybe dropping a little bit, but the car is getting lighter as you burn off some of that fuel load, so a lighter car is quicker.
He doesn't need to find much to jump one more position. Anthony Bartone, who's been an impressive rookie this season, now running in Pro-Am after starting the season in Am, is just a fraction ahead of George Kurtz. Adam Adelson also just ahead. Let's see what George does here. He does jump up to 7th overall. That puts him just behind Samantha Tan for the Pro-Am class pole.
Yeah, and got time on the board to get one more lap in. So let's see if he can find an extra few tenths and maybe jump up another position or two.
Only needs 1 tenth to supplant Sam Tan at the top of the Pro-Am ranks.
A lot of this comes down to your tire strategy and in terms of how you start your tire pressure. You can either get a bit aggressive and have a higher starting pressure. Car comes to life earlier, but then may peak. Or you can start them a little bit lower and let them build, so as the fuel burns off, then they're hitting their sweet spot in terms of the pressure and grip level.
Checker flag for Quali 1 is out. Drivers on a flying lap can complete it. See Scott Smithson bailing. He'll start no better than 13th. Seth Lucas, what can he do? Personal best in the opening sector, 6th overall. Make that 5th overall at the moment.
Yeah, and Kurtz has done the same thing, so both of these boys on a pretty good lap. I'll call George a boy. Probably more appropriate for young Seth Lucas, but they're on it. They're trying to find a little bit here on the last flying lap of the session.
That was a good opening sector there. Again, a little bit off of Madison Snow, but so is everyone. He's got the pole by 0.6 of a second right now. Whoa, big slide there for Seth Lucas.
Yeah, and that would mean he'd have to crack the throttle a little bit. I think I heard a hesitation there coming off the corner. That hurts your exit speed and the run all the way down here, and it reflects there in that middle sector.
Yeah, from being down only 0.3 to Snow, it's now nearly a second just through that second sector. It cost him dearly. We'll see what he can claw back. Seth's previous best, a 2-minute .777. He's only 39 thousandths off of Ashton Harrison to get to that second row of the grid. In the meantime, George Kurtz continues to push. He's set personal best in each of the first 2 sectors. Looking to take the Pro-Am pole. George Kurtz to the line, does it. He jumps to P1 in Pro-Am.
Seth bails on his lap, so that middle sector hurt him. You would have seen that on the predictor, but as we said with George Kurtz, he just keeps grinding and finessing the lap and piecing it together. Some guys just go out there and just hammer it and put it right on the line. George likes to use that session to really fine-tune his lap and piece it all together. Really nice run.
Ends up P6 overall. Just edges out Samantha Tan by barely over 1/10 of a second. Look at Anthony Bartone on the ragged edge.
Woo! Nice save.
Very good.
Boy's got fast hands. He really has good car control.
You expect quick reaction time from a drag racer. That's not his vocation, but it is the family business. Andy Pilgrim is coach right there in the background. We'll be looking at that data, passing on all of his wisdom to Anthony Bartone, who's got a smile on his face under that shark tooth helmet. And we'll see what Adam Christodoulou can do in that car in the second qualifying session. Here are your provisional results from qualifying 1. Madison Snow, new SRO track record, puts it on pole by nearly 0.6 of a second ahead of Chandler Hall. Eric Filgaris, a second row starting position for RS1. Good bounce back for them after their transmission issues this weekend. Ashton Harrison will start 4th, Seth Lucas 5th. Then it's Kurtz and Tan, the top 2 in the Pro-Am ranks. And speaking of Madison Snow, the new SRO track record holder, he is out of the car and with Amanda.
And for the Rova pole position for race number 1 here at Sebring, it will be led by Madison Snow. And I believe that is the SRO's fastest lap here at Sebring as well. But Madison, I saw you decompressing up there with Charlie Luck. What was the reflection after that stint?
It was awesome to be back with Wright Motorsports and also be able to put it on pole for a race here. We'll see how the race goes, though. It's definitely going to be a tough race.
Well, you had that lap by 0.6 of a second on the field, and not to give away the secrets, but where did the Porsche really take to this track?
I mean, the Porsche was good at this track when we showed up. I think it was taking me time to get used to the car and get around here. Wright Motorsports definitely set up a good car for this weekend.
Well, I'd say you got up to speed very quickly. Congratulations.
Thank you.
A rising star over the last 5 years or so, comes from a racing family and putting all of his experience to use. Still a young man, but he's been racing for a long time.
Yeah, and he's just hit a different level this year. He's just got a ton of confidence. 5 race wins over in the other championship that he competes in. So that gives, it just takes you to a new level of confidence, and it's an adjustment, right? The BMW and the Porsche drive very, very differently. You're up on the wheel more in the Porsche. You've got to wring its neck a little bit to get the lap time out of it, whereas I think the BMW is a more comfortable car to drive. But nonetheless, just a really solid qualifying run there. To be 0.6 clear of the field is ominous for the competition here this afternoon.
Well, Madison knows how to get it done here at Sebring. He's a 2-time class winner in the 12-hour, including earlier this year. And now we get to see Jan Halen and what he can do. He might be a native of Belgium, but he's called Florida home for a long time. He's got a ton of laps around this place in all kinds of different cars. We'll see what he does for Wright Motorsports here shortly as qualifying 2 gets underway. Mario Farnbacher now aboard the Acura for Racer's Edge. It'll be Alessandro Balzan for Conquest, Elliott Skier for the other Wright Motorsports entry, and on we go. Some big names about to take to the track here, Calvin. Expect to see Madison's track record come under threat.
Yeah, and the other thing is the cars are not refueled between these 2 sessions, so you start with a much heavier fuel load for the qualifying drivers in session 1. So it's a lighter car, yet there are fresh new Pirelli P0s on board. So that's why, even though it's pros on board, you expect a faster lap time. The car typically is going to be a bit quicker anyway. So I think that time that Madison set as a new SRO track record will be under threat here. Do we get into the 58s? I mean, that's the real question. I think a low 59 is maybe what it's going to take.
This is a car to keep a close eye on. Ryan Dial also calls Florida home, of course, from Scotland originally. Justin Wetherill set his best lap in his qualifying session on his final lap, still building up the speed. It's been a little while since he's been in the cockpit, but Dial has been flying all throughout this weekend. If you're looking for one consistent thread from FP1 to FP2, it's been the pace of this car with Ryan driving.
Yeah, and I think he's got a point to prove. I think he, as he said, he watched Road America. Great to see the Ferrari get its first North American win, but he wanted to be driving a Ferrari that grabbed that first win. So they come here to Sebring, as he told Amanda earlier in the show. They did a test earlier this year. That doesn't always translate because the track conditions can sometimes vary greatly here in the Florida heat, but it seems they rolled off the truck well, and I think he's out to make an impression here and really make a statement about, I don't think his deal is set for next year, so a lot of these drivers is really almost like an audition, even though they've got such great history and track record behind them. What you do lately is really what may get you a ride for next season.
He is another one who has a Sebring 12-hour class win on the resume. That came back in 2012.
That was a big year for Ryan. He and Peter Barron, the Starworks team, really had a mighty season there, winning a lot of big races.
Yeah, Sebring, Le Mans, Petit Le Mans.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Pretty good haul for a single year. There's Neil Verhagen, one of the breakout stars of the season. Joined ST Racing at the midway point. John Edwards started the year alongside Samantha Tan, and as we chronicled, since Neil showed up. Part of it is, I think, the team wrapping their head around the car a little bit, but certainly Neil's impact has been felt. Their results have been instantaneous. They have not finished worse than second in those 4 races.
Yeah, I don't think John and Samantha had the best of luck at the beginning of the
Correct.
year. John put the car on the pole at September, I think it was.
Right.
So certainly the pace was there and demonstrated, but John's electing to maybe move his life into a different direction, maybe not so full-time in the race seat. And he and his wife Serena just celebrate the birth of their young daughter, so happy times in the Edwards family.
Let's jump on board with the Connecticut native, Neil Verhagen, on board for ST Racing.
Just gradually building the tire pressure and tire temperature to start to commit a little bit more. Super Mario. I think this next lap they'll start to get a little bit closer. I'd say lap 4-5 is probably the peak lap.
2-time class winner here at Sebring, Mario Farnbacher in the 12-hour race. His team on the class pole for that race, Racer's Edge Motorsports. Mario Farnbacher always quick behind the wheel of a Honda and or Acura. We'll see what he can do here as he comes around to complete his first flyer. Overall best first sector. Strong middle sector. Final sector goes personal or overall best, but of course he's the first one to complete the lap. His lap time immediately under that track record at a 59.5. Neil Verhagen not too far off, only 25 thousandths of a second, the difference between first and second.
Oh, I think at 158, maybe definitely on.
Back on board with Neil. Currently P2.
See how busy his hands are. Looks smooth from the outside, but you can see the work and effort from the driver's seat. Man has a lot of talent. Flat out through here, not even really a corner, it's just like an extension of the straightaway. This is important here, just trying to miss the big bumps. You don't want to get that big oscillation under braking there. So you see, it's almost like Casino Square at Monaco. You kind of move to the middle of the road and then move back over.
This was the pace-setting car in the first qualifying session. What can Jan Heylen do? He's trending towards a pole position, at least provisionally here, still very early in the going.
This is going to be a tight session. We have, what, 6 drivers now underneath the 2-minute mark, separated by about 4/10. Any one of those 6 could put the car on pole.
In FP1, the top 12 were separated by 1.2 seconds. That's 12 of the 14 cars covered by 1.25 seconds. How about Heylen? A 59.3. Wow, big lap from the Belgian.
Look at him searching for that entry phase. Oh, a little moment there right at apex, really pushing hard. Had to correct the speed right in the middle of the corner, but the grip is there. He's hanging on to it.
How about Farnbacher now? He is right there on the edge. Gave up some speed in the middle sector, but he was trending way up in sector 1. Mario wringing the neck of the Acura over the bumps through Sunset. This is the sprint to the line. What's the time? He's P1, 159, 364, 8 thousandths of a second clear of P2.
Skier moves up to P4 in the 120 machine. Most importantly, ahead of Colin Brown right now, but Brown's going to try and make that change here. He's not on a flyer right now. Oh, he goes, looking at the numbers. Yeah, Colin Brown just went fastest of all in the middle sector, so he's on a good lap.
Didn't have his best first sector, but he's still right there, still pushing. This is Colin Brown. Just celebrated a birthday yesterday. Happy birthday, Colin. And celebrating fatherhood as well in the last couple of weeks.
You see the little markers to the right-hand side, just to the left side of the flag, the nations that they represent. So yellow means they're not on their personal best. Green is personal best. Purple is what you're looking for. You see Colin Brown there, purple in the middle sector. Can he finish the lap?
A moment ago, Ross Gunn went to P3 overall, P1 in Pro-Am. Here comes Colin Brown. He's tracking for provisional pole, but he gives
so
up a little bit of time. How about that? 300ths off P1, and that's still not even good enough for second. It's P3.
Yeah, can anyone perfect a lap? So maybe they got more aggressive with their starting pressures. We're seeing those times. I thought maybe the 58 was under threat, but it's going to need almost the perfect lap. Just put together all 3 sectors to make it happen.
The time for Farnbacher is the quickest in an official session for an officially homologated GT3 car ever here at Sebring. It is very, very close to taking a GT3 track record outright, and here is Farnbacher. He's flirting with it right now.
Yeah, down a little bit in the first sector. That's going to hurt him. He was good in sector 2. I think he really needs to just key on getting a good flying start. So get through turn 17, start this next lap. That's what you got to be looking for. That was his best of the day.
Yeah.
He just improved slightly, just by a few hundredths there. Oh, that's big commitment. That was almost perfect. Huge commitment, using every inch of the road, not getting into the dust. Don't overcharge this one. This is turn 3, Christensen corner. Nice and tidy. This looks good. This looks very good.
Dial to the top at a 59.322. That bumps Farnbacher to second, but still the fastest within the pro class.
4 cars separated by 0.07 of a second at the top of the charts.
A little bit of traffic here for Ryan. He has caught Bill Oberlin.
Oberlin was fastest here yesterday afternoon. That's a little bit warmer. Let's see if the car's in the sweet spot for Bill. Chandler Hull had a really nice qualifying session.
Amanda reports Neil Verhagen and ST Racing put on 4 new tires just now. Would that mean you forfeit anything done prior to that?
So.
I believe that's the case.
Yep.
So that's
it
something to watch.
the opportunity, but it throws out the times to that point.
And this is a cool down lap, it would appear. Perhaps getting a little bit of space. Ryan Dial looking to push. Time for a few more, potentially. But right now, he does have provisional pole for Triarsi Competizione.
The real wild card with 5 minutes to go is Verhagen. They pull an ace out of their sleeve there with that strategy.
Farnbacher not on a push lap now. This might be setting up a chance to go for the overall pole one more time, or he'll dive to pit lane.
Yeah. Tires are probably peaked. Comes Skier. Oh, when he jumps up 1 spot, that puts him right behind Colin Brown on the grid for tomorrow's race.
That's big for the championship.
It is. Oh, that was a lot of commitment through there, a lot of steering input going on to finish off the corner. Such a tricky one, turn 1.
Remember, this is the car that just got quicker and quicker throughout the session in Quali 1 with George Kurtz driving. Can Colin Brown find some of that same magic late in the session? Oh, he's on the ragged edge.
That's going to cost you. Sometimes you can get away with it, keep it planted, not lose any traction or acceleration off the corner, but that was too much.
He was on a good lap.
Yeah.
That's what's going to be frustrating.
He's just getting those tires clean here to start, to finish this lap, but more importantly, start another flyer.
How about Halen? He's trending towards the pole. Interesting, he's done that without setting an overall best sector time in either Sector 1 or 2, but on aggregate, he would have the pole if he could keep it together here through this final corner. Wright Motorsports, they've got the pole for race 1 later today. How about race 2 tomorrow? Jan Halen.
That looked good. That looked really good.
Let's check the time. P3 gave it up in the 3rd sector.
The margins. Nothing to choose between.
Verhagen has gone to
There we
P1.
go.
There's your 58, Calvin. A
Wow.
158.763. That is, without equivocation, the GT3 track record at Sebring, and it's pole by nearly 0.6 of a second.
That's what fresh rubber and light fuel load will do for you. Plus a great lap put together by the driver and the team.
Well, it's a gamble from the team, right? To go ahead and put those slicks on. You lose the time you set beforehand. So if there's a yellow late in the session or a red, and you don't have a chance to go back out, then you're stuck starting at the back. But that's the risk they took, and it paid off. in spades. Neil Verhagen, ST Racing, provisionally on the pole.
DL here, personal best Sector 1, decent Sector 2. How can he put it together? Oh no, he lost a big chunk there in Sector 2, looking at the numbers.
59.367.
Just didn't put the lap together. Must have been a little mistake. So the grip was there in Sector 1 and 3.
Yep.
He can cool off a little bit. Looking at the numbers there, he's just got over 2 minutes, so he can probably afford to lose about 10 seconds in terms of just cooling everything off and trying to get back to the stripe here and start another lap before time runs out.
Samantha Tan will start second in class for race 1. Did a great job in that first qualifying session. And Neil Verhagen doing what he's done ever since he joined this team. Turn in impressive performance after impressive performance.
Yeah, he's going to bail here, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, so...
Well, I don't think anybody else...
He didn't take a lot of life out of those tires either,
correct.
Right?
And I don't think anybody else has the time to throw fresh rubber at him, so they've got to be feeling pretty secure in that lap time. At a 58.7, Colin Brown giving up the ghost.
Larry David would say, pretty good.
Into the final minutes, and I think we've seen just about everyone take their best shot. And it was Neil Verhagen who landed the punch. Overall GT3 track record here at Sebring, and he crushed it.
He did. Over half a second clear. DL, they'll be happy with that front row. They can do a lot from the front row. And the Wright Motorsports team just missing out on another front row start by a mere 0.005 of a second.
Here's McAleer. Looks like he's still pushing. Elliott Skier was still pushing, but did not improve. He's still 7th overall. Just tripped the timing beacon at start-finish. How about McAleer? These are the championship leaders in the pro class, but mired down the order. Quite frankly, though, this is what Steven told us to expect when he talked to Amanda before Quali 1.
Well, the bar is a little bit higher, right, with all of the pros on board, so this is really the true pace of where this car sits. But we're seeing the other Porsche this weekend displaying great speed with Wright Motorsports, so they've definitely untapped some speed in the 45 machine, but yet to see it from the 28, even though Figueres had a solid run in Quali 1.
Checkered flag is out. Just about everybody's in the pits.
Not a good lap. He may just bail here, I think.
I believe McAleer and Skier are the only two still out on the racetrack. But with that, I feel pretty confident in saying that Neil Verhagen will be starting on the overall pole tomorrow. His co-driver Samantha Tan is standing by with Amanda.
Samantha, when I talked to you guys yesterday over in the pits, you said, let's just keep this thing rolling. You come in here after stepping on that top step for the first time in Road America. A bit of strategy there, 4 new tires here in qualifying for Neil Verhagen. He is the fastest guy in GT3 ever here at Sebring. What will you say to him?
Neil, amazing job, and also shout out to the team. They gave us a phenomenal car this weekend. You know, we don't have too many sessions of practice. We haven't been back here in 2 years, but we tried to maximize every session, and I think it paid off.
What do you have expectations for the race today? We're going to get higher temperatures a little bit, but race number 1, you're starting P2 in class. How do you see this one unfolding?
Yeah, I mean, Sebring, so it gets pretty greasy in the afternoon. Just expecting a little bit less grip, but we're going to try to keep that momentum going and hopefully end up on the podium.
And then why is this a circuit that suits the BMW?
Ooh, I mean, I feel like the car really handles the bumps very well. We've got some nice straights here as well, so it's been pretty good for us for sure.
Good luck today.
Thank you.
Big smile for Samantha Tan, and why not? Starting P2 in class today, P1 overall tomorrow. And her team, ST Racing, new track record here at Sebring as well. Great stuff. Exciting qualifying sessions, incredibly tight behind the pole in both cases. We saw Madison Snow have the measure of the first qualifying session. By strategy, Neil Verhagen had the measure of qualifying 2, but you look behind them and the margins are infinitesimal. I think it's shaping up to be a fun weekend.
How do you spell that?
That's a good question.
But no, you're right. Behind the pole in this session, you got like 6 cars separated by a couple of tenths, so that should be some manic racing here this afternoon.
I was told there would be no tests today, and here I get a spelling test sprung on me. These are provisional results from qualifying 2. As mentioned, Neil Verhagen with a new track record here at Sebring gets it done for ST Racing. 2 Pro-Am cars lock out the front row. Ryan Dial doing what he's done all weekend, rapid for Triarci. He's the one who might have had the pace to challenge Neil, just couldn't quite put the lap together.
Yeah, and I just think that strategy, that fresh rubber was a huge sort of like ace up their sleeve that they elected to use, and that gave him the pole essentially.
Halen and Snow on pole for race 1. They'll be on class pole for race 2 ahead of Farnbacher and Harrison. Highlights now from qualifying here at Sebring International Raceway. It all started in Quali 1 with the Bimmer World squad jumping out on track first, but it was the Madison Snow Show. He set the provisional track record for SRO in qualifying session, but ultimately that would fall later on in Q2. Eric Filgaris doing what he needed to do, Calvin, to try and keep RS1 in the championship battle. Adam Adelson also in the mix of a championship fight.
Yeah, nice lap for Filgaris, keeping their championship hopes alive. Mackler has a lot of work to do tomorrow, however, from his starting position.
Quiet but solid day for MDK. Seth Lucas, Trenton Estep. Expect to hear more of them in the race. This was a huge save. Anthony Bartone. Impressive from the young rookie. Super impressive for Neil Verhagen, who set the GT3 track record here at Sebring en route to the pole for race number 2. Race 1 comes up later today, 2:55 local time here in the Eastern Time Zone. Hope you join us for Fanatec GT World Challenge America, powered by AWS. Overall pole sitters, Madison Snow and Neil Verhagen. They'll lead the field to green in the 2 respective races here at Sebring.